This is your man Miles, and welcome to Sunday School. I'm glad to have you. As always, this is interactive, so if you have questions, make sure you put them in the comments so I can answer your question right away. Today, we're going to be talking about the due on sale clause. Why? Well, it has been a very prevalent conversation in our community over the last week for some reason. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's something that we go over in our educational programs quite regularly. So we had a few deals that were out. People wanted to get involved. They were doing it, and their biggest concern was the due on sale clause. So we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to share with you everything I can about it, right? I'll give you my stories, my personal experiences with the due on sale clause, all the things that have happened to me, what you should expect, and so very much more as you figure out how to take full advantage of creative financing, specifically in this case, subject to. So without further ado, let's get to it. Being a real estate investor, there's nothing to it.
Sellers are just waiting for my call. Hey.
I'm sick and tired of y'all calling me. Stop calling my phone. I'm just sick of them. Sick.
So basically, there's no competition.
All I have to do is mail these out. Boom. Here comes the money.
Real estate. Easy money.
Hey, get away from my car.
My offers are solid, and they always get accepted.
Be nice.
As real estate investors, we make our own hours.
Now all I have to do is put in these bandit signs.
If you invest in real estate, you know exactly what you just saw. It can be problematic, right? It's the same group of people going after the same group of people saying the same thing to the same group of people. I get it. I've done it all. Some of those strategies can work, but it's all about messaging and numbers. But I'm here to tell you today that there's an absolutely better way to get things done, that you can double what you're doing. If you're a full-time investor already, you should be doing 5 to 10 deals a month. If you're not, let's have a conversation. If you're just getting started, this is the best way for you to go and get started. If you don't have any money to put into marketing and you want to develop a pipeline of deals that's consistently coming through, and you don't have to have the exact same conversation over and over and over again with another new seller. All you have to do is watch this study that I've put together for you. It's a little bit of a training, and let's have a conversation afterward. I've been at this for more than 2 decades, and we've developed strategies and relationships and systems and processes that allow our business to do 15 deals, 12 deals a month per market that we're in. And I want to share this information with you. Click the link below. Let's have a conversation. Peace. All right. Welcome back. And by the way, the links, there are 2 links in the description of this particular training. One is what I was just talking about right there, how we can, basically create opportunities by developing relationships. And the other are all the documents that you're going to need for a subject to deal. So I'm just giving that to you. It's free. You can download it. It's right. The link is in this description. It's right there. There's only 2 links in the description. So we're going to talk about the due on sale clause today. And again, I want to welcome Ken. I see you there. Ken from Long Island. We're talking about due on sale clauses and the fact that they're inevitable. I mean, it's not inevitably going to happen to you. It depends on how many deals you do, right? Is it going to happen? Probably. Is it a bad thing? Not necessarily. These things can be mitigated quite easily, provided you do what you need to do. And we're going to talk about the do's and the don'ts, the triggers, even exemptions. I'm going to give it to you today, right? So what is a due on sale clause? Well, I don't have the actual verbiage, the actual definition, so I'm going to give it to you like I know it. It prohibits the transfer of real estate without paying off the existing loan, right? The existing lender wants to get their money. They want to be paid when the property is transferred. And going into the history of it, all these things since 1982 have been a really big deal. It's a big case that was out of California in the early 80s. The law was written in 1982 to kind of piggyback off of the 1986 tax code. So it was entered in through all of that. And it was put in there, well, the clause was put in there to protect people because there were banks that were going after people that had transferred their property. So it prohibits you from selling a property or transferring a property without paying off the existing mortgage. So you might say, well, might as well, I mean, that's the whole subject to game, right? It's we're going to take over this property subject to the existing mortgage, meaning we're going to have our name on the deed, but the loan stays in that person. This due on sale clause is just throwing a monkey wrench in my whole business model. I can't do it. Yes, you can. You're not going to get past the due on sale clause. There's no lender that's going to write you a note and say, oh, we're not going to exercise the due on sale clause. It's just not something that's going to happen. So you have to learn how to operate within it, right? So what triggers the due on sale clause? Well, there's a lot of things that can trigger it, right? So when you enter into a sale, whether it's a subject to or a lease option, a bank can technically, obviously with sub 2, not so much with the lease option, but can they? Yes, it depends on how you file the paperwork. But even transferring it into an LLC or a trust can be triggering effects. Do those things generally make it trigger? No, absolutely not. The sub 2 one can, if you're not doing certain things correct. Putting into a trust or an LLC, it can if you're not doing it correctly. Lease options, you just don't see that often. And that is because of one of the exemptions, right? And what is it? I wrote it down. It's the Garn-St. Germain Act of 1982. The Garn-St. Germain Act of 1982. And what this does is it allows you to plan. These are exemptions. So you can do estate planning and things of that nature, meaning you can put it into a trust. You can put it into an LLC. Now with Fannie and Freddie, if you're buying it in your personal name and you're going to then transfer it into an LLC or something of that nature, they want you to have it a year before you do that, right? And why wouldn't you just buy it in your company's name? Well, one, they're going to ask you to put down more money. I mean, of course, you're probably familiar with the BRRRR strategy. If you're watching this about due on sale clauses, you've studied sub 2, you've done all these other things. The BRRRR strategy is a great way for you to buy a house, you can live in the house. I mean, just redo the money, right? There's a bunch of different things that you can do, but you can buy a house with a regular, everyday, FHA or VA loan, whatever it is. Maybe you have a basement or an extra room that you can rent out and make money and stack up for the next one. But you're going to get maybe 3% down, 5% down. But if you're buying it in your company's name, every lender is going to ask you for at least 20% down. And you just you might not have it. You might be just starting out, right? So you buy a piece of property, you live in one side, you rent out the other side, or however you want to do that. And then you can stack up the money. But if you're transferring it into an LLC's name and you have a loan with Fannie or Freddie, they're going to ask you to just wait a year, right? For estate planning purposes, a lender cannot accelerate the loan, meaning if you're you've got the property and now you want to transfer it into a trust of some sort, an irrevocable trust, a family trust, something like that. Well, because those are estate planning tools, they cannot accelerate the loan. They can't exercise the due on sale clause, right? And again, I want to reiterate, if you have any questions at any point about the due on sale clause or something that you might be going through and you need some answers, put it in the comments. Let me have a conversation with you. I'm here to answer your questions. Let me get a little bit of water here. Very good. And I want to welcome Ken. Ken is in the Long Island, New York area. Ken is a real estate agent / investor. So if you're in New York, Long Island, Queens, in his sphere of influence there's his number. Give him a call. He's a good dude. He's straightforward. Maybe you guys can do some business together. So that's just a shout out for you, Ken, because I know you're always here and you're on your grind, you're on your hustle, and I appreciate it. I respect it. I love it. And I know what it's like. We've been in the same places. So going back to our due on sale clause, you want to make sure that you're doing all the right things that you need to do, right? So how do you avoid having this happen to you, right? Well, you don't alert the lender. You don't call up the lender and say, hey, listen, we're taking over this property subject to the existing mortgage. Do you mind sending me something in writing that says you're not going to exercise that clause in the event of whatever? Don't do that, right? Use land trusts. Some states you can't. Like if you're in Texas, it's got to be something else. But a trust in general is going to definitely do well for you. If you don't insure the property correctly, that can be a big, big red flag. In fact, that's most of the time, that's where people go wrong. They don't do the insurance properly. I did a whole video, a whole training on how to do insurance for subject to properties. And when you're going to do the filing, if you're taking over the property, you're very welcome, sir. If you're taking over the property subject to, and it is, let's say it's a foreclosure, right? You're taking it out of foreclosure. You don't file that paperwork until that reinstatement document is in hand. Because if you file the paperwork right away, that lender is going to have to look at that paperwork to reinstate that loan. They're going to have to look at title. Okay. So if they look at title and see that it's been transferred, boom, due on sale clause. They're going to exercise it. So you've got to know when to file your documents, and you've got to know how to do it properly. If you're not doing it properly, it's a problem. And that has everything to do with the insurance. Now, that's not to say that you can't call up the lender and have conversations with them about whatever. You can. You're going to have all the authorizations. The seller is going to sign the authorizations. You're going to send them into the lender, and you're going to be able to talk to them about whatever at any given time, right? It's just all about how you put it together. When you're filing the paperwork, if you have an out-of-state address, that can very often trigger the due on sale clause. It can be a real problem, right? So you want to make sure you're doing that in the right ways. And there's a ton of different ways that you can do it, but you don't want it to be out of state. If you're going to do trust, you want to have the seller be on. Well, this is one way you can do it. You have them as a trustee or a beneficiary on the initial documents that you would be filing or having or sharing, right? But you have them relinquishing or assigning that right or those rights back over to you or one of your entities. And you keep that. You keep that for when it's time to refinance or sell or do whatever it is you're going to do. But having that seller on there as a trustee or beneficiary is going to help you out a great deal. Now, you have to make sure that you pay the taxes, that you do the insurance right, that you're making the payments, because all of those things, if you're behind, a lender's going to be able to look at they're going to go in and look at that, maybe review it and say, okay, why is this person behind? Or why haven't the taxes been taken care of? And why is this insurance looking all screwy? Why isn't this person's name, who has the loan on the insurance? What's going on here? And you have to deal with these things, right? Now, what happens if you get a capital call? What happens if they exercise the due on sale clause at any point that you have this property? Are you just screwed? Is it done? Is it a bad situation now? You have to come up with X number of hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay off this loan? No. You're just going to rework the deal, unwind the deal, and you're going to put it back into the seller's name. And then you're going to do maybe a lease option or something of that nature. But you're just going to take it apart. And I'm giving you the the raw version of this. Okay, will it cost you more money? Yeah, because you're going to have to go hire an attorney. I always, 100% of the time, recommend working with attorneys. There are a lot of people, and I'm not saying they're unscrupulous people, but there are a lot of people that don't use attorneys. Okay, they use mobile notaries and things of that nature, and yeah, I'm sure they know what they're doing, but having that extra layer of protection, insurance, if you will, is, I mean, you got to have it. You're going to get title insurance. You're going to pay for that. You want to make sure that nothing pops up. There's no tax liens on the property, or there's no credit card liens, any kind of mechanic liens on the property at all. That's what the title insurance is for. You're going to get a title search. You're going to pay for that title search and insurance, and it's going to cover you from the day you got it. If anything comes back on that seller, from the day you took it over, you've got property insurance. Title insurance, excuse me. That's going to cover you, right? So, and then of course you got your attorney and their, errors and omissions insurance. If they do something wrong, they got to clean it up, right? They're going to clean it up. Their title company is going to make sure that they get it cleaned up, right? Those are protections that you have when you close with an attorney. If you close with a mobile notary, you don't have those protections, and you spend, of course, just a fraction of the money, literally just a fraction of the money, a few $100s as opposed to several thousand, $3,000-$4,000 on a closing with an attorney or a title company and title insurance. But you need it. I can't stress it enough. People are very often trying to, find shortcuts in and out of these things. There's no shortcuts. There's just the way to do it. Just do it the right way, right? So many people are concerned with the due on sale clause. They can't get past it. How often does it happen? It doesn't happen that often. I've had it happen to me. I've been doing this for 22 years. I've actually been doing creative financing for less than 22 years. So let me correct myself. I've been involved in real estate for 22 years as a full-time business. Okay, not a side hustle, not a gig worker. This is my full-time thing for the past 22 years. Okay, I didn't get involved with creative financing for about my third year in. So I've been doing it for about 19 years, and I've had it happen to me 5 times. That's it. And I didn't lose the deals. I didn't have to go get hundreds of thousands of dollars either. Okay, I have learned that there is insurance that you can buy for this. I haven't looked into it, so I can't really give you a lot of information about it. But you can buy insurance for the due on sale clause if you're buying things creatively. And that insurance, from what I understand, is 1% of whatever the loan amount is, right? Whatever the loan balance is. But I haven't looked into it. But if you want to look into it, you can definitely look into that. But again, all you have to do is unwind the deal and repackage it. You redo the deal. You just do it as a lease option, a lease or something, something of that nature, so that you still have control of the deal. Now, what do you lose when you have to do that? Well, you lose, a couple $1,000 because you got to unwind the deal and hire the attorney to do that, right? And you're going to lose the ability to depreciate that asset if you're leasing it. But there's other things and other ways that you can do that. But that's not, if you're into this for cash flow, great. Having the tax benefits obviously are super, super great. So, let's say, I don't know, I'm just going to give you a rough example here. Let's say you bought a house for $200,000 and they said the land was worth $40,000 because you can't depreciate that, right? So you got $160,000 of a property that you can depreciate with standard depreciation. That's over 27 and a half years. So about 27 and a half. So you're getting, every year, you're getting $5,800, $5,818 as a write-off. That's your depreciation. Now, if that property was also making you, let's say, $400 a month after all expenses, right? That's another $4,800. You're doing over $10,000 a year on that property. Of course, we know rents go up every year, every couple of years. We've seen them go up quite drastically over the past decade or so, really over the past few years, they've gone up just insanely fast. So, you know, you're going to have your rent increases. You're going to go with the market, right? You're going to go with the market unless you are, you know, a bleeding heart, right? And you're going to be like, well, I know I can get $1,500, but I'm just going to do it for 12. That's on you, okay? That's completely on you. But anyway, let's just get back to what we're talking about, right? Our due on sale clause. You know, you have to make sure, and I stress this to everyone I talk to, when I'm selling a property, even unless I know for sure that these people are really, really, really good, they've done several deals, I stick around with a lot of our buyers if they're relatively new. Maybe they don't know how to do the insurance right, or they're not familiar with the timeline of what it takes to get a reinstatement letter if they're doing a foreclosure. You know, if a property is in foreclosure, you got to get the reinstatement letter before you file those documents. I mean, you got to give it some time. It can take a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. You know, we did one, it took 30 days to get a reinstatement letter, you know, so, but those documents are always with the attorney. They're signed, they're sealed, and they're delivered in the hands of the attorney. They're notarized already. It's just not filed right away. And you're doing that to protect yourself, okay? But make sure you do the insurance correctly. And if you want to learn more about the exemptions, it's the Garn-Saint-Germain Act of 1982. Just Google it, read it, and you'll see it. I talk about it all the time, you know, so you'll hear me talk about this long fight that started in California from a real estate investor who lost all the way up to the Supreme Court fighting Bank of America. And after they lost, well, I should say after Bank of America won that case, they opened up the books. They hired extra people and they opened up the books, and they were looking to see who has transferred their properties. And there are a lot of wealthy people that do, you know, that do these wealth management strategies where they transfer their property into the name of trusts. And so the Bank of America in this case, and I'm sure there were some other institutions that followed suit, because it would have, you know, this was a case all the way that had gone all the way to the Supreme Court that affected one of the biggest banks in the world. So yes, other banks would have been paying attention to this. And so Bank of America opened up the books, and then they went out and they exercised the due on sale clause. They wrote everybody a letter, said you got 30 days to rectify this thing. And inside those 30 days, obviously it affected everyone, not just, you know, regular everyday people. It also affected the wealthy, people that can make things happen in this country. And then when they got those letters, all they did was call their attorneys and their congressmen and their senators, because they're very well connected, and said, fix it, and fix it now. And so it was fixed. And that and that's how we get the Garn-Saint-Germain Act, because there had to be exemptions for people that are planning for their estate. That it's not just putting it there. I mean, you can actually sign it over to family members and things like that as well. It's not an assumable loan. It's just who can do these things, right? You can't sign it over to anybody. It's not an assumable loan. It's nothing like that at all. But it does give you the right, any homeowner, the right to transfer a piece of property in just a few ways. Just a few ways, because we've had a lot of changes since 1982. You know, we've had a lot of changes in the past 15 years, really, with having gone through the Great Recession. And so a lot of laws were amended and changed to reflect the times, obviously. So that allows us as investors to understand those laws and maneuver within the confines of the law so that we're not breaking the laws or the rules and regulations to the game in which all of us either are playing or want to play. All right? So if you don't want to have a due on sale clause executed upon a deal that you've done, you have to make sure that you're transferring the property into the right kind of entity. You want to make sure that you're transferring the insurance in the right way. You want to make sure lines of communication are open with you and the seller, you and the lender. But again, you will have these authorizations that you simply just send in to the lender. You're going to have all the documents you need. If the lender reaches out to you and say, hey, we see this thing has changed hands over here, what's going on? You're going to have the documents that you can send to them if they need it. You're not going to send it to them off the rip and say, hey, here's all our trust documents. We picked the property up subject to. You're not going to do that. You don't want to do that. Again, you do not ever want to alert the lender. You just don't. They're not really interested in exercising the due on sale clause. If you're making the payments, you got a good property on the books. That's really all they care about. So if I don't want to say it never happens just because they're doing an internal audit. Sometimes that's going to happen. It's just going to happen. But I don't even know how many deals I've done over the past 19 years in specifically subject to. But to have it only happen to me 5 times, and I've done a lot. You do a lot of deals in 20 years if this is your business. All right. So I've only had 5. And I know people that it's happened to. I know people that do it that it hasn't happened to. So, I mean, it's just a matter of understanding what you need to do. You're not going to lose the deal. You're just switching up the way you do the deal in the event that that does happen to you. All right? It's not the boogeyman, even though people think it is. That's this thing, this cloud, this dark, ugly, gray cloud that's hanging over the head of everyone that does creative finance deals. If you give it all that energy, if you give it all that attention, that what if this happens? What if it doesn't, right? But what if it does? Okay, that's why we're here. If it does happen, you simply unwind the deal and repackage it in another way that still gives you the property for X number of years, period. You're not going to lose it. The lender's going to give you time to rectify the situation. If they exercise the due on sale clause, and you're thinking, oh, now I got 30 days to run around and try to find, $200,000. Oh, what am I going to do? Oh, woe is me. You're just speaking negativity. You're speaking things into existence that haven't even happened. Assume the best, right? Prepare for the worst, but assume the best is going to happen. And that happens by having a good education, a great education on how to actually do these things. It's just a process. It's just a process. And I wish I could tell you that I was batting 1,000, but I'm as close as you can get as it relates to the due on sale clause. I'm as close as you can get to batting 1,000. And that's for real. That is a real live situation. When you're doing these things, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know. I spent all week this week talking to people about the due on sale clause and getting them to back up away from the cliff and say, listen, it's just not, it's not as negative as you think it is. It just isn't. Okay. You simply have to know the process. That is it. And if you don't have the documents that you need, I'm going to reiterate it again. In this description to this video, no matter where you're watching it, you got the same description, right? Go in the description, download the documents for free. I'm not charging you anything, not anything. These are documents that we're currently using in our business. They were modified, I think 3 months ago, just this year. And it's for you to use. I want you to know exactly what it is you need to do, period. I don't want you out here trying to watch a million YouTube videos and find this contract and get the watered down version of it that doesn't have all of the protections that you need for yourself in there. I don't want it. And then there's another link in there to how we work with people to develop relationships around the country. Well, in all the markets that we're in. We're not in every major city in the U.S., but we're in like 7 markets right now. And we develop relationships there. Relationships that send us opportunities. Does it happen overnight? No. It takes time to develop those relationships, right? You got to do deals together. You have to have consistency in your communication. It does take time, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, and it's going to be mostly about you following up with them. Eventually you're going to find an absolute killer, rock stars, whether they're agents or wholesalers, and that's going to be shoveling you opportunity, period. You can actually be one of those people. You go out here and you market to find these deals. However you do that, you're on the phone cold calling. You're spending, 2-3 hours a day on the phone with agents, on the phone with sellers, people that have had their property listed for a long time, right? You don't always know what the circumstances are for the seller. You know, they could have had their property listed for 130 days and it's just now going into foreclosure because they haven't been able to pay it. We've had that situation on more than one occasion. It's kind of common, right? So they're asking for too much money. The market can't bear it right then and there. Maybe they don't have the money to come out of pocket, so it's only worth $300, but they owe $297, and they have to list it for $320 just so they can pay the agents. It's crazy, but that's exactly what happens in some cases. So we can come in and take over that property for whatever the payoff is, and I'm just giving you the spiel there, right? Those are all the things that you really need to know, right? So let's recap really quickly. What is a due on sale clause? A due on sale clause is a clause in every loan package that prohibits the transfer of real estate without the lender getting their money, getting paid off, right? Potential triggers are entering into certain, a sale, sub-2, lease option. In some case, I've never seen it, but I guess they have to kind of list that lease option in there as a thing. But I've never seen a due on sale clause get exercised with a lease option. I've never seen it. So again, triggers. Entering into a certain kind of sale or a transfer into a trust, it's not done right, things like that. Insurance isn't done correctly. Those are triggers. Those are things the bank can pick up on. Lenders will pick up on those. The exemptions. Again, you can learn about those exemptions from going to just Google the GARN, G-A-R-N, Saint Germain Act of 1982. Just Google that. It's a big old legal document, but you'll see things. But some of the things that are in there that will prohibit the bank from exercising the due on sale clause is estate planning, putting it in a trust, a family trust, irrevocable, revocable trust, however you do that. Fannie and Freddie has rules that now they just want you to have the property a year before you rent it out or do a lease option or something like that. Those are exemptions. And how to avoid it altogether? Don't alert the lender that this is actually occurring. It doesn't matter that you're calling for a payoff. You could be refinancing or they could be refinanced. None of that matters. Doesn't matter if you're calling them and saying, hey, I need to see these loan docs. It doesn't matter, okay? You can talk to the bank without alerting them to what you're doing. Okay, you're just gathering information. It could very simply be, we see people all the time. Me, I keep my documents. We have them digitized. If I need them, we can get right back into them. But a lot of sellers just don't have that stuff. They don't have it anymore. It wasn't something that was important to them. So having their documents in a file somewhere, which seems normal to a lot of us, most people just lose track of it. And it's not uncommon to reach out to the banks, especially after the Great Recession, because as some of you may know, when people were reaching out to get documents from their lenders back then, nobody knew who had them because they were being sold and transferred so often. The servicing company didn't even know who they were working with 90% of the time. Another story for another time. Okay, so how to avoid it? Don't alert the lender. Use trusts, right? Use trusts. Don't insure it improperly. Make sure you follow the process. Don't use out-of-state addresses. Just get a mailbox, etc., or something, and then from there have it transferred over to you. Let's see what else. Pay the taxes, pay the insurance, make the mortgage payment on time, and make the seller. This is a really easy one. Make the seller, put them on the trust, put them in there as the trustee or the beneficiary. But you have another document that they're transferring that over to your entity, okay, that we have signed at the closing. And that's a document that we just keep for when it's time to sell. It's good water. Quality H2O. Quality. So, do we have any questions thus far about the due on sale clause, right? Because listen, I'm telling you, it's something that you have to do. You have to be aware of this. Some people aren't. And this scares a lot of people from doing sub-2 deals. They want to try to find a way, not around it, but they want to deal with it head on. And there's no way to deal with it head on in terms of, calling up the lender and dealing with you just can't do it. They're not going to do it. It's just not, they're just not going to do it. So you have to figure out, okay, what is it that we can do legally? And let's do that in order for us to participate in this aspect of real estate investing, period. And now I'm just talking about single family homes, right? We're talking about residential real estate. We're not talking about commercial real estate, multifamily, or any of that. The rules can change on the commercial side. The rules do change. They're very different on the commercial side. There are a lot of things you can do on commercial that you can't do in residential. And that has everything to do with protecting the consumer, okay? It doesn't mean that, one is a little shadier than the other. I mean, some people might say that, but that's not what it is at all. If you're operating in business, it stands to reason that you know what you're doing in that business, right? So when you're talking about commercial loans and doing that, there are a lot of things that you can do creatively over there that you simply cannot do in the single family space, because single families are, people, obviously times are different today than they were 20 and 30 years ago, but home ownership is a big thing. It's the cornerstone for most families' wealth, right? Whatever they're going to pass on to the next generation, however they're going to do that. And so most consumers are not, they have their jobs, their other professions. They're not real estate professionals. So these laws are put in place to protect the consumer. And they make it a lot more strict in the residential side than they would in the commercial side, okay? And so that's where we are with that, right? And I also wanted to kind of pitch this out here, and exit strategy stuff, right? So I was having a conversation with Jeffrey. Jeffrey's in our community, and he's got his first couple properties under contract. He's got a bunch of deals out there, offers out there. Congratulations again, man. I love it. And he didn't know exactly how to just really get out there and market these deals, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a cash deal or a sub-2 deal. You got to put it out there. And, one of the easiest ways is, the easiest way today is, if you don't have a list, you got to use the Facebook groups, right? You're going to go in, you're going to join a bunch of real estate Facebook groups in the area or the adjacent areas to where your deal is located. So, if you're in Atlanta, I'm going to look all over Atlanta. I mean, but everybody's buying stuff in Atlanta. So I might be in Facebook groups in California, Florida, New York, showing the property that we have for sale in Atlanta, whether it's a cash or a subject to deal. Depending on how we took it down, I might even put it on Zillow. I'm going to put it on Craigslist. I know people say Craigslist, what? Yes, we still put stuff on Craigslist because it still works. Are there people that are skeptical? Sure, there are people that are skeptical. We don't ask people to send us any money. We don't do any of that stuff. If this is something you're interested in, come out here, take a look at it, do whatever it is you need to do. If we own it, we'll tell them we own it. If we don't own it, if we haven't, actually purchased it and we just have a contract, we'll let them know we're wholesaling this particular property. So you get to be who you want to be, right? The criminals that are on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and all that stuff that are scamming people, they're there to scam, right? You don't have to be that person at all. And I don't think any of you are. If you're here paying attention to this and listening to the sound of my voice right now, you're absolutely not trying to scam. You're trying to figure out how to do what you do better. And so just be better, right? Give people the let them feel how confident you are. Let them feel comfortable in your confidence and your ability to just be transparent. Say, hey, this is what it is. This is what I'm doing with this deal. We need to move in this period of time. Let's go. And that's the end of that, right? That's the end of that. But get in those Facebook groups. Develop your list of people. You can, gather their email. This is just regular stuff, right? This is if you're not putting any money in. You're not doing any PPC. You don't have funnels built. You're not doing any of that. You're just doing the free stuff, right? You're putting your ad out there, people are calling you, and you're jotting down their information, and then you're going to have a MailChimp account or a Constant Contact account, and you're going to put their information in there so that they can get the emails of the next deal that you have, right? You'll still put them in those other areas, Facebook groups and all the stuff that we just talked about, but having that extra layer and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to send these deals, the deals that I get are going to go to my list a day or 2 days, whatever you decide, but a day before I put them out there to the public. And you let them know, hey, listen, you've got 48 hours to give me an offer before it goes to the public. And then you put it out there to the public, because there should be a benefit for people to get on your list, right? It should be that they get to see it before everyone else gets to see it, because they gave you their information, and that's worth something. It's got to be worth something. It's got to be, because it is. It absolutely is. And that's where we are. So I didn't get a lot of questions today. I know what's going to wind up happening. I'm going to get all of them that are going to come in afterwards, and probably in the morning. And that's cool, because everybody can't make the live. I don't mind. That's what we're here for. I will follow back up with you and answer your questions when you send them back in. If you haven't seen this live, ask your questions anyway. Some of you are going to just DM me. Some of you are going to put them in the group chat. That's fine. I don't care how you do it. I only care that you do it. All right? So this is your man, Miles. I want to thank you today for taking this time and talking to me. Let me know what you got. You got any deals you want to sell? You got deals and you need help negotiating those deals in one way or another? Reach out to me. Put them in our community, in the Facebook group, the Real Estate Accelerators group. Post your deals there, right? We're not asking for any money. We want you to win. We want the community to be active. We want people to be able to thrive inside the community, all right? So put your deals up there. If you need to raise money, say, look, I'm looking for a partner on this deal. Just do it. Just put it there. You never know who's going to respond. You just never know. If you don't ask, you won't get fed. That's real. So I'm going to let y'all go eat dinner, get ready for your work week. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. And thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your patience. I love seeing what you're doing. I like watching the confidence that you're having right now, man. I like seeing how good you've gotten at comping. Actually, you've gotten really good at it, brother. So keep it up, man. We got a lot more to do. Make sure you keep logging in to your educational modules, so we really got to start working on some of that stuff. I'm not going to harp on you anymore. So thank you, brother. Thank you. And I will talk to all of you again soon. I look forward to your questions. Make sure you get your forms, and I'll see you next week. Peace. What's going on, friends and family? How y'all feeling today? I hope you're feeling great, doing well. I've had a lot of conversations over the past, I'd probably say about the past couple months, 2-3 months, about people wanting to get involved in real estate and asking how they can get involved in real estate given all that's going on with the economy. Well, you either have a lot of time, which means you don't have the money, or you have a lot of money, which means you don't have the time. And they want to know how they can get involved in real estate. Some of them have said, look, man, what do I need to do to just get into a deal, right? I don't really have the time to do all of that. So we've just invested their money in some of the deals that we do. So I'm here to open the invitation to all my friends and family that are watching this right now. If you're interested in getting involved in real estate and you simply don't have a ton of money, or you don't have a ton of time, maybe you only have, $5,000, maybe you have $100,000, I don't know. But if you're interested in investing in real estate deals passively, truly passively, just reach out to me. There's no link, this isn't an ad. Just DM me and let's have a conversation. We've got deals right now that we can fund. Right now, as of right now, multifamily as well as single family, deals that you can be in as little as 6 months and as much as 2 or 3 years, depends on the scenario and what your particular investment strategy is. All I can say is let's have a conversation. So if you're interested, friends and family, just reach out, let's have a conversation.